is Food Stories.
This is Food Stories.
This is Food Stories, a podcast from FareShare Greater Manchester.
A podcast from FareShare Greater Manchester.
A podcast from FareShare Greater Manchester.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Food Stories, a podcast from FareShare Greater Manchester. FareShare Greater Manchester is a leading member of the UK's largest food charity, FareShare. Our work supports thousands of people in need across Manchester and further afield. We take surplus good-to-eat food from the food industry and redistribute it to hundreds of charities and community groups across Greater Manchester and into Cheshire and Derbyshire too. With the Food Stories podcast, we want to share the work we do, as well as the amazing work being done by the charities and groups we support. Here's our Chief Executive, Lucy Danger.
Food comes in on very big lorries, comes into our operation. We put it on a database. Our allocators, we have a little team in the office who allocate food, go on the database. They ring up our community food members, the beneficiary organisations, and talk to them about what's available. Often we do know, because we've had groups ongoing for many years, we'll know roughly what they'll take. It might vary a little bit, but there'll be additional things that we can offer them through the database. So we then make up an order. Our team, so we've got a small staff team of about, I'm going to say, a dozen people or so within the operation, and that's supplemented by lots and lots of volunteers who help allocate food, pick orders. They do goods in, they do stock taking, they do cleaning, and then we've got some amazing people that will then deliver it out on our small fleet of vans to the wider community. So across Greater Manchester, we do a little bit of East Cheshire and a bit of High Peak. If you look at a map of the UK, what FareShare is trying to do, obviously, is trying to link up where there's significant quantities of surplus food and have regional centres that are then strategically located to be able to deliver it out to communities and groups that support people in the community to help people that are struggling. We have thought about expanding our reach further into East Cheshire and further into sort of High Peak areas, but actually there's so much still to be done here in Greater Manchester. The numbers are a bit scary, frankly. I think we're talking about 1 in 4 children who are living in a family that are struggling to make ends meet. I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head, but it's more than 500,000 people that are, that we're trying to support, and currently we're supporting probably less than 10% of that. So there's a lot more that can be done.
FareShare Greater Manchester has been operating here in new Smithfield Market since 2008, and our mission is to rescue perfectly good food which would otherwise go to waste and get it to those who need it most. We're one of a network of 34 FareShare sites run by 17 network partners across the UK. As a community of independent franchise charities, we're all fighting the same issues: hunger and food waste. Across the UK, it's estimated that 1/4 of all food produced is going to waste each year, and FareShare wants to see that food put to good use. Ruth Downs is our head of development, and it's her job to make sure the supply of food into our operation keeps coming.
We get the food from a variety of different avenues. We work with big retail stores, we work with farmers, we work with manufacturing sites, we collect from PPC, which are the donation buckets at the end of the aisles in supermarkets, from bakeries. We work with a lot of wonderful suppliers, actually, especially locally here in Manchester. The supply is really up and down, so 1 week in the warehouse it can look really good. You can go in 2 days later and it's nearly empty. Obviously suppliers have an ad hoc surplus supply, so we might get a supplier that will offer us 5 pallets and it might be once a month, or we have regular pickups as well that we'll pick up from say the Co-op 3 times a week, which is amazing, and then we'll pick up from Greencore once a week. So it is very up and down. We ensure that we have full traceability. All the food needs to have ingredients and allergens on, we follow strict use by dates, best before dates. We can extend to some extent depending on the kind of the food. So all the food is logged into our in-house system by weight. So it's quite a clunky process, but we need to ensure that we know exactly what food has gone where. So for example, if somebody should do a product recall, we know exactly who's had that product. So there's full traceability in the warehouse. It's all written down, logged as soon as it arrives, and entered onto the system, ready to go out to our charities.
Our busy allocations department fields calls and inquiries throughout the day, making sure our community food members, the charities and community groups that we supply, are getting the food they need.
I was thinking 2 big boxes to start with, and we'll see how your space is in the morning for any more. And then last couple items, I've got apples and loads of different flavours of yogurts. I've got some that are perfect for kids and then some more, the larger tubs.
Hi there, my name is Connor. I am the Assistant Operations Manager at FareShare Greater Manchester.
OK, Connor, what goes on in here in the allocations office?
It is the hub of activity for the operation generally. We coordinate all the orders for our customers, which is all the charities we work with. We manage our database and we help coordinate our warehouse and our driver teams that help distribute the food across the boroughs to get our charities food that hopefully is really cheap for them.
So this is the sharp end where the business really happens then?
Yes, it's the crazy beehive of activity. There's always something going on. But we are the intersection. We're an operational office, not an admin office. So everyone from a warehouse employee to a warehouse volunteer to a random driver, they all walk through this office before they do anything. So it's a very unique office in that regard.
We are at the goods in bay, hence the barriers to separate people from forklifts. This is where it all starts. The lorries back up there, the forklifts unload lorries by the pallet. We've just had 15 pallets of food in from Great Bear Distribution. Lovely ambient food that we really need. A lot of breakfast bars for kids and things. Anyway, food comes in here. It's ambient, it's frozen or it's chilled. Very quickly then it will go to its designated area, the main warehouse, or if there's an excess supply in the racking to be used later. The main warehouse is the pick floor, we've got it all zoned out. We'll go straight into the main fridge over there, or we have 2 freezers this side of the operation.
Derek Shelton is our head of operations at FareShare Greater Manchester. It's his job to oversee what goes on in the warehouse, the food coming in, the safe storage of the food while it's with us, and the food going out to our members. He first came to work here as a volunteer during a period of unemployment. He says that from day one he got what FareShare is all about and was soon coming every day to help out. That volunteering position eventually turned into a paid job, and a decade later he's now head of operations.
Today someone showed me their little wrap, probably 200 grams of food in the wrap, and the carbon footprint was it took 440 grams of CO2 in the atmosphere to make that one sandwich. So twice as much CO2 in weight, which is, you think about it's a gas, it's a lot of CO2 to make that sandwich. So we help save the planet because we're taking this food that has put a massive amount of energy and water in to make it, and it would have gone to waste. And we redirect that to people, to charities who are helping people. Secondly, we help those charities providing frontline services. The food's often the hook to engage with people to provide other services. And if that's not enough, the third pillar, as I would say, is the employability work. So like myself, we see a lot of volunteers come along. Sometimes they get a job with us, but we see lots of volunteers come along, the shoulders are down, the confidence is down. Maybe they haven't worked for a few years, maybe they've never had a job. For whatever reason, they're a bit away from the marketplace in getting employment. We watch them grow in confidence and get used to regularity of coming and do some work and working with colleagues and having to communicate, and then we see them get jobs. And for me, that's the icing on the cake. So 3 great things: save the planet, help people in need, help people get jobs.
With volunteering and job opportunities, as well as food support for charities across our city and beyond, FareShare Greater Manchester is very much embedded in our local community. The work we do is something that's really needed. Here's our Chief Executive, Lucy Danger, again.
It's quite disturbing, isn't it, that you hear about people who are working and who, because of the energy prices since the cost of living crisis and so on, literally, and for years, to be honest, we've heard about people choosing between heating and eating, and that's quite a frightening prospect, really, that people are that desperate. We're based here in the heart of East Manchester. We're in a community that was very prominent during the Industrial Revolution, so there's a lot of heavy industry, and then subsequently, following the decline of all of that industry, so there's very, very high unemployment in terms of sort of multiple indicators of deprivation. You're talking about 3 generations of unemployed people with low educational attainment, poor quality housing. So there's a whole range of factors. And what we're trying to do, albeit we're a tiny organisation, is to offer work experience and training and support for people to get back to work. Having FareShare enables us to run a food operation, which I think is, even if you just look at the warehousing element of it, but there's also the office, there's also the driving and delivery, sort of the logistics side of it. I think these are all useful skills that people can gain. And then you've got the food on top. And what we're able to do is share some of the food with some of the people that come and volunteer with us and staff, where there's a surplus, and we've already given it out to our CFMs, our community food members. We try and cook with some of the food when possible, so that people have a hot meal or at least a sandwich during the daytime here. So yeah, it's kind of it's a great initiative to be running. We're very proud that we're working with the national charity. They've got an excellent brand now. In some ways, we benefited through COVID, because obviously during that crisis, as we all know, there were lots of issues around people accessing food, and FareShare was supported by the government nationally, and we saw the benefit of that here in Greater Manchester. In fact, we also had the exciting advent of Marcus Rashford and his mum coming to visit us here in as we were refurbishing the depot, the building that we're now sitting in. So that was amazing. We also had at the time Prince William and Kate come to visit us, which was it was a great privilege to host that visit and to have them come and support us and engage with the wider initiative. And I think off the back of that, I'd like to think that William went back and spoke to his dad, now the King, and that helped to support the initiative that is now the King's Coronation Project. I know that the Felix Project, and Charlotte, the chief executive there, was instrumental in bringing that to life as well. So, but we saw these little opportunities to kind of raise the profile of the brand and get essentially what is a brilliant news story out to get more support from the wider community.
We hope you've enjoyed this introduction to our food story and what we do here at FareShare Greater Manchester. In the coming weeks, we'll be taking you out on the road as our food gets delivered to our community food members, and we'll introduce you to some of the people who are using our food to make a real difference in their communities.
We're trying to almost still have that element of nurture and really looking after parents, as well as them having access to food. And actually, just by working with FareShare, I think we know that each one of our bags is probably worth, on average, if we were to buy it, would probably be between £15 and £20 per week. As a small charity, that would never be sustainable. But what we've shown is that by working with FareShare and kind of diverting food that would have gone to food waste has meant that we're able to provide those bags on a weekly basis, which, you know, the feedback we get is, wow, I've had one of your bags, it makes such a difference. It's, you know, it's that thing, isn't it, with somebody gives you something, it's exciting, you feel valued, you feel, oh, saved me a bit of money. So it's been
interesting. It's been interesting. I think we never thought at the beginning, and I certainly didn't, we were pretty naive, I have to say, that we didn't understand the need, because the need is massive.
At FareShare Plus, we have the customers come down to us. We have 2 in every half hour from 10 o'clock through to 2 o'clock, 5 days a week. They're all regular customers, so they have their same slot every week. So it's great because they get to know what kind of stock that we have in, how we operate, and then it's great for us because we kind of get to know who they are, who they're supporting, the communities that they're working with. Also means that the volunteers that we've got get to build that relationship as well. So it's quite different compared to the other side, where you've got a lot of the higher volume of stuff going out, but it goes on the vans and goes out. We get to kind of interact more with the customers. So that's really nice.
With FareShare, I think I'm so privileged to be one of their clients, you know, one of their customers who's able to come in and pick up the food. And that relationship goes back some time, really. So during COVID, I was working with charities where we were making meals and they were being distributed throughout the whole of Greater Manchester, to be honest. And our relationship started from COVID days, early COVID days. And it's then sort of just materialised into where I've explained that I'm doing this project, and they've sort of said, yeah, we'd want to support it. And I think without their support, I really wouldn't be able to run this project.
That's all for this first episode of Food Stories. If you've enjoyed listening, please do us a favour and share it with anyone who you think would like to hear it. And if you subscribe to Food Stories on your favourite podcast app, that way you won't miss the next episode when it comes out. We'll be back again next week with some more food stories. Until then, thanks for listening.